All right, so I'm just gonna I recorded all this before and I realized I wasn't recording any voice, so we'll just kind of take this out. So I was watching NIO today and I traded in the morning with paper money because I didn't have my account activated. For some reason, my account was locked out and I think TOS had some problems over the weekend, and for some reason I got locked out. Anyway, I got fixed in the afternoon and I took a trade in the afternoon, which didn't really work out. And it didn't work out not because the trade didn't work out. It didn't work out because I got my emotions got the better of me. But anyway, so in the morning I was watching this and I saw this wedge form. The idea was that once we had seen this sort of thing happen, this is a balanced period where buyers and sellers are agreeing on price. There's a fight between the buyers and the sellers, and whoever wins pretty much takes control of price. So I was going to get in here when I measured, and normally I take my risk at the break over here because this is the high of the day, and not so much the high of the day, but in a trend, you're trading higher highs and higher lows. So if where's the drawing tool? If we take, we're trading lower highs and lower lows sort of thing, something like that. So essentially, I was going to take this as my risk, this area, and then whatever came out of that would be my reward. And essentially, that's the trade. Let's delete this. There we go. And delete, and then delete, and delete. So the idea is, I keep doing this. The idea is anyway, it doesn't matter. The idea is that this would be my risk. When I measured that, I think it was going to give me the equivalent. If my risk was 250, it was going to give me the equivalent of about 500 shares. So I essentially, if I got in about here, this is about 500 shares. I never ever get exactly a good fill, so I kind of measured it to about 500. I can't short NIO on TOS, so if I need 500 shares, I need to use options. And so what I decided to do was to buy 10 0.5 delta put options. I bought the options over here and rode it all the way down. I sold half my position around here because I noticed that price was heading back to the VWAP, and I didn't want a situation where the trend would change, because really this is a lower high, and this is a higher high. So basically this would come over here and then we just kind of start going back up. Even though the context is that we are going down, but you always have to protect yourself. So I took off my position over here and then left the remaining 5 contracts. When we got down, because now I have 5 contracts, my it's not 2 to 1 anymore. 2 to 1 now comes to about 2.5 around here. Got down here, started chopping around, took another 3 contracts off, so only had 2 contracts, and then got out when price got here. Kind of wrote it down and price got here. What I did fail to do was to draw the imbalance of what caused this rise, which is round about here. And really this is a key level. So really ideally this was my target, or it could have been my target. It would have been a good 1 to 3 trade. So therefore, if that was 250 as I normally risk, this would probably be about 750. Anyway, so that was the plan and that was the idea. So, and that actually worked quite well based on patience. I wish I'd carried the same sort of patience later on in the day when I was trading properly. So I marked out a demand region from yesterday's session on FUTU. FUTU rallied heavily from this point, and as you can see, there was also consolidation in this area. So therefore, this area will be very, very strong demand. So essentially, I watched FUTU come to this point. And then I was kind of waiting for a commitment from buyers to kind of turn this around. The stock had been overextended. And then also gave me the conviction was a divergence on the RSI. As you can see, the RSI was making higher highs and higher lows. However, price was making lower lows instead. So there's a big divergence. So therefore, what that is saying is that there's been a shift in the momentum by the buyers compared to the sellers. So I was looking for a break of this trend line, And to take this long, my target would have been the VWAP, or was the VWAP. I got in here with 100 shares because I said, you know what, this is late in the day, I'm exhausted. I never take good trades at this time of the day. It's lunchtime. My trading isn't that great. I'm just going to take 100 shares, or at least 100 shares with a risk of 100. This was working really well, so I bought another 100. And then we got over here, and we were in profit of about $200 and something. Then it started to chop around. And I was looking, and this is where you have to be very careful. Remember, the initial plan was we are heading to the VWAP. Price has been extended. We have divergence with the RSI. So we have a lot of, and it's in a price imbalance that caused this huge rally. This is a very good trade. My minds were now playing. I was watching this and my mind was starting playing tricks on me. When you hear those voices, I thought this candle, and I thought this is a supply imbalance. Price is probably going to go down, and it's struggling to get past. So I put some lines over here, and then price kind of went down a tiny bit. I wasn't looking at the volume, and I should have looked at the volume. And then I got out. Then I got back in. At the top, price came back down, and this is where I had changed my bias in the plan. And I should have just stuck to the plan, which is you have only risked $250 as you normally do. Your target is VWAP. Stick to the plan. If you lose $250, that's it. It didn't work. You have here the potential to make $750 or even more. And that was what is, and this is the point of this particular discussion over here. The fact that we had in the end a trade that gave us a risk reward of 3 to 2.8. At the time when I was doing this, I mean, the VWAP was around about here. Of course, the VWAP will come to this point, but I wasn't thinking. I let my emotions get the best of me, and as a result of that, cut the trade too early, and then now started taking trades that were not working. The point is here, this setup works most of the time, unless, especially when a stock is in a range, unless the stock is rallying or really selling off. So if you look at, say, Microsoft, even if when it comes away from the VWAP, it always goes back to the VWAP. This is actually interesting because the VWAP is so far away from price, so it did go back to the VWAP. Look at Nikola, away from the VWAP, back to the VWAP. This is an example of where price is rallying or dropping really fast. But as you can see, most of the times it always heads back to the VWAP. And that in itself is another setup that some traders take. If price goes too far from the VWAP, it always ends up going back to the VWAP. Same thing here. And essentially what's happening is price is coming to an imbalance, and usually an imbalance from the past, or an imbalance, it's coming to an imbalance, and that's sending it back. So essentially, based on that particular setup, I should not have had any problems whatsoever. And I think the point I'm trying to make here is, don't let your emotions get the best of you. If you have an idea, you're only risking this much, and you're comfortable losing this to make this. So if you lose this, the trade didn't work. And that's really all this should be about. But at the time, I was more concerned with profits, and I was focusing on profits. Even though I hadn't reached my target, I had made some profits, and then thought, I didn't reach my target, therefore I'm going to take another trade that was not going to work, and I lost money on that. All in all, I lost more than 250, which, if you think about it, made no sense, because that was what this was about, risking 250 to make, again, $700 or even almost $800. So I just thought I'd share this, my experience of trading today, and how sometimes you just have to, trading is all about controlling emotions and controlling what your mind is telling you, and not letting your mind get in the way of, what it is you are trying to achieve. It's easy for me to look at this and go, okay, this is going on, this is a pullback, and really, indeed, it is a pullback. And I could have still stuck to it because price is only consolidating here because it wants to get to the VWAP and then move to the next point, which will now consolidate here again. So sometimes we have an idea of what it is we're trying to do. We just need to stick to the plan of what it is we're in.